Hey guys, yeah, I've been a bit off the radar with the videos lately. I'm gonna try and make more, but yeah, this video is for a really good friend of mine, Kelsey Bliss, who sadly got her wings last week. I've been really struggling ever since really she got a chance to get her new lungs, and yeah, unfortunately she passed away I think Thursday. I'm not too sure, it's all a blur, but yeah, losing any CFA is not easy, but losing Kelsey, I felt like, I don't know, I just felt empty, and it was really hard, and it hit me. I haven't known what to do at the moment, but I'm getting better. What really hit me the hardest is I had so much to talk to her about, and so many stories still to tell her, mainly about work and what jobs I've had, because having any job with CF isn't easy, and I haven't really let it stop me. And so I'm gonna make this video for her, and because I know she'll be watching, just to tell her all the jobs I've had, and my favorite jobs, my not so favorite jobs, and my bestest job in the world, my dream job now. But yeah, I first started working when I left, well, when I was still in high school. I went on 2-week work experience in Cambridge with an aircraft engine overhaul company, and basically I was there for 2 weeks, and I stripped down an aircraft engine and repaired it, starting from the very small blades, very small screws, to the very big parts of the aircraft, the bearings, the shafts, and putting it all together to a final piece to then ship out to all the airline companies who want their engines back. And after that, I decided I wanted to do mechanical engineering. But when I finished school, I don't know if it was my father who said that it wasn't a good idea to be lying on cold concrete underneath cars all day long, or it was just me thinking it was stupid for my health. But so I didn't go with that. And it was a few months after that I went to my dad's, you could say, airport in France. He owned a cargo airline, and we went there to look at his aircraft, and he had meetings, and I worked with his engineers for 2 days and said I'm actually looking at work or college, and said, well, why don't you think about an apprenticeship with the engine overhaul company? So I applied for apprenticeship and they accepted. I then went back to my dad's airport and spent another 2 days there. But then they said, well, you're so into engineering, why don't you, instead of concentrating on just the engines, come work with my dad's company and fix the aircraft as a whole? So I did, and I worked in France for a whole year. What was really funny though is I quit French after my second year of high school, because, listen to this, when I was in Zimbabwe, I never thought that I'd go to France, let alone live in France for a year. So yeah, I went to France, lived there for a year, and maybe learned the basics of French, but don't ask me to talk French now, because it'll just come out gibberish, and no. So yeah, I worked on the line, which is basically working on live aircraft, where they would come in for 6 to 12 hours stay, sometimes less, a quick turnaround, but in that time zone, we had to get the aircraft back into service, starting with the basics, oils, because aircraft engines always burn oil because they're constantly so hot. So filling them up with oil, hydraulics, gearbox oil, then moving on to the tires, changing some tires if they've had a bad landing or just naturally worn down. And these tires weren't small, they were huge. I mean, they would come up to here with me, so it would take 2 or 3 of us to do it. And then we'd also change the brakes, which again weighed 100 kilos, so we had to use forklifts to lift them up. And yeah, basically that was my first dream job, because I loved getting dirty, I loved using tools, and yeah, it was engineering. So I got to do some amazing things. I got to fly with my dad's aircraft all around the world. When I say all around the world, never went to America, but I flew around all of Africa, all of Europe, and all of, you could say, a lot of Indonesia and Malaysia. And I actually lived and worked in Malaysia for a month doing the overhaul of aircraft, so stripping it back down to its bare minimum and servicing it back up. So yeah, I did that for a year, and then I foolishly decided to go to college to get my aircraft engineer's license, so I could then get a better pay and be able to actually sign for the work I did, instead of doing the work as an apprentice for other people. And yeah, so I did that for 2 years, and when I finished college, it wasn't exactly perfect timing, because that's when the credit crunch here in England happened. So finding a job as a newly trained engineer was very difficult, and I had to find work in a hangar for 2 years, which was basically impossible. So while I was working for my dad's company for a year, as the apprentice, I would do every single job they could think of, including driving around the whole of France to go pick up parts for the aircraft that they badly needed, and there was no one else to do it except the apprentice. So I got to do a lot of driving in a very ugly but big box van, biggish, 3.5 ton, but that was big for me to begin with, all around France, driving all the way down to Dijon, and which is southern France, and all the way back up to Paris. And yeah, after a while of driving it just felt second nature to be driving a big van. And so after a few jobs of gaining money where to get my truck license, I'll start from first job, where I had to do kitchen cleaning for a week, and that was cleaning a kitchen in a canteen, and that was horrible work. It had to be done. I then worked for 5 weeks in a warehouse where I was the computer clerk, and making sure that each supermarket got the right items, and if the location of a certain product was out of stock in the warehouse, I would then organize on the computers to send a forklift to restock it. So then pickers who run on these crazy forklifts all around the supermarket filling up baskets, they would then go and re-pick those items. So I did that for 5 weeks. Again, was experience and getting money to try and do a dream job that I always wanted. And after those 5 weeks, I did all these through an agency, so they then decided they didn't need me anymore. I then went on to another job where I worked in a lab looking through a microscope at oil, specifically palm oil, where I melted it for 3 minutes. I then put a drop of it on a piece of glass and looked through a microscope with different colored lenses, which in the microscope, on one half you could see the color of the oil, and on the other half you could mix the 3 primary colors to make the color of the oil. And once I got the matching colors to be exact, I then looked on the microscope how many colors of red, yellow or blue are made to make up whatever color the oil was, and then wrote down on papers. And I did that for over 200 different kinds of palm oils. Did that for a week and a half, and it wasn't for me, so I decided, no, I can't do this. And then since then, just did bits and bobs, and I don't really remember anything after that. But then came my real, which I thought was done by computers, but real shock of a job, letter stuffing. Specifically certain mailings for some posh, I could say, clothing and jewelry and things, where we would do huge 20,000 mailings, stuff an envelope with a small card or sometimes a big brochure, and send it all across England and all across the world. And yeah, basically sitting there all day stuffing envelopes. I did start licking them, but after about 100 of envelopes you start to lose taste in your tongue, and it's not pleasant. So I've been doing that job now through an agency for 3 years now, on and off, and I managed to get the money to then go and get my Class 1 Arctic truck license. And so I got my license in November 2011, and I had my first job with Co-op, and my first shift I drove to Portsmouth from here, which is about an hour and a half away, not too bad. My second shift they sent me to Isle of Wight, which I'd never been in a car, so when they sent me in a 28-ton rigid, I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on here? But yep, I did it, and I absolutely loved it. Since then, I went and got my Arctic license, and with my Arctic license, I've driven for Tesco's supermarket, which is a big chain supermarket here in England, and delivering their daily goods every night, every day. And it'd be 3 drops where I collect a truck from the main distribution warehouse and then drop off certain goods, a few trolleys, to each drop on the way, and then head back. And I then worked with Royal Mail, doing mainly trunking work, which is basically going from depot to depot, picking up 45 to 90 cages, because then I got trained to drive their double-decker trailers, which I'm 5'4", so when you have a 16-foot trailer and you're doing the safety checks, those lights on the top of the trailer are pretty high. So yeah, I did that, and it just felt amazing. And I then done some driving double-decker curtain siders for overnight couriers, and I did one night where I had to drive in snow, which was an adventure, but again, it never scared me. And then since then I've done more work driving big Arctic trucks full of bottled milk, starting from the distribution or bottling factory to then go to another factory where then they would distribute it around the smaller cities. And well, what can I say, it's an easy job. Just drive the truck, open the curtains, and let the forklift unload them. And then since then I've just finished a week of driving container trucks, ranging from small 20-foot containers to 40-foot containers, weighing different amounts every time. And inside these containers you can get anything that you need. I had one container full of just paintbrushes, and all these boxes are loaded in China by hand just to save space, so it takes a few hours for them to unload, but I love it because you literally drive the truck, reverse it up to them, open the doors for them, and they unload it for you. And it's the same with the milk company that I work for, doing night deliveries. Just open the truck and let them unload it with forklifts. And then I still go back and do my letter stuffing, but because I've been with them for so long, they've now trusted me to drive their forklift, and also because I know them, I know the warehouse guy's job. So I then also, now this week, I'm going to be covering his job, doing the warehouse work, mainly getting in deliveries and sorting out the warehouse, putting it in the right places, and then also helping them with a few mailings, a few small mailings if they need be. I want to tell you all the mailings, but just know they're posh clothes and jewelry, and they also do charity work as well for a lot of African charities and English charities, and a few schools as well. They do mailings. And so yeah, that's my life as a CFA working, where I haven't really let it stop me. I've tried everything, and I know what I can do, and I know what I can't do, but if I do it slowly enough, I can get through it. And I just wish Kelsey would have seen this video, because I know she always wanted to be able to work and get that chance to have a normal life where she could go out without oxygen, without struggling to breathe, and possibly even work. So yeah, still getting over it is hard, but she's not in pain anymore and she's breathing easy. So yeah, this is for you, Kelsey. Hope you enjoyed.